Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Andrue2 here, coming at you with another video. Today we're talking about the build that enabled me to kill Aberroth. It's called the Bleed Hammerdin. Hammerdin because it is very closely related to the Diablo 2 Hammerdin. If you need some sort of idea about how this build operates, you sort of just cast hammers around you in a circle, and while you move, the hammers really follow you everywhere you go. So this build is actually very, very good. It's very strong. I have quite a few. I've got about 386% physical damage done. 290 damage over time. I've got 1183 bleed damage with about 380% bleed chance. So it was actually my very last kill, or my very last attempt rather, was the kill. And I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit about like how the build operates in a 300 corruption echo. So we're going to run this Lost Catacombs just to kind of see what everything is. It does use Volatile Reversal, Holy Aura. Shield, Bash, and Lunge are two items you don't necessarily need to have, but I'll go into a little bit more in depth as to why I chose those and why I think it's good to have those on there. So this is good. We got to lure out an ambush here. You can see some tougher enemies being played, but as you can see, it's very smooth when it comes to dealing damage. You don't necessarily have to focus on one enemy all the time. There's quite a bit of like overlap damage that happens, so a lot of it is done through just the bleed damage. Once you get enough bleed stacks on the enemy, you can kind of move on to the next one. Obviously, you know, this is 300 corruption, so this is definitely doable. This is with the gear that I had when I killed Aberroth, so definitely a top tier contender, I would say. When it comes to dealing damage, but yeah, it works very well. I would imagine it works very well in arena because all the enemies are coming towards you, and you just have to sit in one spot kind of and cast Hammer Throw, which enables all the bleed stacks, which enables the smite casts. There's a lot of little moving parts that happen here, and once we're finished with this, I'll go a little bit more in depth as to what makes the build tick. And it's just been a lot of fun so far. There are a certain amount of uniques that I would strive to kind of get before going too far with this build. And like I said, we'll jump into that a little bit later when I finish this objective. But as you can see, you know, it's moving very, very smoothly. There's the ambush right here. The bleed stacks stack up quite literally very high. It does a ton of damage, and it's very, very good. So, okay, let's get into some of the talents and abilities. So first and foremost, we're going to go into Hammer Throw. We're going to do Hammer Vortex. We're also going to do Iron Spiral. We do Catapult. We do Max Out Ballista to get the mana cost reduction. We do Weighted Hammers, Rapid Throw, and Guardian Zeal. Now, if you have rings that give you the minus throwing damage, like the second tier there, you could definitely move some of the points from other spots and put them into Guardian Zeal. This will give you more damage with your hammers globally. So it is very nice to sort of have that extra damage on there. The next one we're going to be going over is Volatile Reversal. This is a very cookie cutter kind of a build setup when it comes to Volatile Reversal. We get more damage over time. We get more damage taken, cooldown recovery. You know, you create void rifts when you arrive and when you start. Cooldown recovery speed and cooldown recovery there. So a lot of this is just based off of doing more damage taken 30% more damage taken. You can get this up to 60%. Enemy damage over time, which really impacts our bleed damage. So that's pretty much it for Volatile Reversal. Smite is actually pretty interesting. So you're mainly using Smite to get this cleanse off. Now, every time you cast Smite, if you have your adorned idols, I would be looking for ones with the prefix of the chance to cast Smite when you hit with a throwing attack and the suffix of increased physical damage over time. That would be my best suggestion on what idols to get. Other than that, you're going to want, idols that increase health and have a flat health on there as well. But this is where a lot of the extra damage comes from, is getting the Smite cast, because you're not actively casting Smite, and you don't need to cast Smite in order to receive this effect. Another one we're going to be using is Righteous Flurry, so it gives us a 20% increased attack speed, which is very nice when it comes to casting Smite. Blind chance is 20%, and you do more damage versus blinded, which is great because they changed blind so that blinded enemies cannot critically strike. So this is a way for you to get your crit strike avoidance on your character. Holy Wave heals in a larger area, and then Soothing Balm, which gives you 150% more health regen on heal and mana regen on heal as well, and you'll be healing yourself quite literally every time you attack, if you have a good percentage of uptime on those idols. Okay, next one we're going to go into is going to be Holy Aura. This is a Paladin mastery, so this build most likely cannot be done without being a Paladin, and reason why I say that is because in our talents here, we're going to be going through these two here. They're very, very strong. Throwing bleed chance, a chance to get hit, chance to bleed when hit, and within that chance to bleed when hit, you get physical penetration with bleed, as well as granting 49% more damage. And it just, crit strike avoidance is very nice to have. Block chance and health gained on block, etc. These sorts of things really kind of make the build feel very, very smooth. Last one we're going to go over is going to be Sigils of Hope. So Sigils of Hope, obviously a lot of people know this talent selection. We get more block chance, double health regen, we get an extra sigil, 25% more damage per active sigil, so it leads up to 100% more damage when you have all four. Chance to summon sigil on kill, 6%, and then more endurance threshold. So obviously, as you can see, my endurance goes up to about 1,022, so almost about half my health is going to be with endurance, as well as the 60% endurance damage reduction, which is absolutely massive, considering this build does not have any other normal way of healing itself. Some of the items that will be required for this, I noticed that Bleeding Heart is one of them, just because of the 7% damage leached as health, which is a percentage of all damage leached as health. And we also have Blood of the Exile. Blood of the Exile is basically your extra way of doing more physical ailment damage to moving enemies. It increases the bleed duration, great movement speed, and then you get a boatload of just basic stats that you're going to be using a lot of the time. The other three items, the shield, the ring, and the amulet, the relic, are not very essential to this build, but you can find something that has more physical damage on it. I like this specifically because it gave me the 40% endurance and the endurance threshold, which was very nice to the build, as well as the 116% increased physical damage and the implicit 19% increased armor. Orion's Sunseal, which is a brand new unique. This item actually rolled exactly what I wanted it to. The reason why I have Orion's Sunseal on here is so that I don't have to have Sigils of Hope on my bar. It automatically casts your Sigils of Hope every 10 seconds. And because of that, because my duration on this is 24 seconds, it means that I always will have 3 to 4 stacks at any given time. Right? You can see it's about a 6 or 7 second delay between having 4 stacks to having 3 stacks. And that is absolutely massive when it comes to just being able to run around the maps and always have your health regen on you, always have your endurance threshold raised, and doubling your health regen, which I'm at 169 with 4. And this is extremely helpful when it comes to being able to mitigate damage. And the last unique that I used was a Bastion of Honor. I got very lucky with the slam that I did. I got a 20% block chance, which was very nice, considering that you get 1% block chance per strength against enemies within 4 meters. I've got 53% block, or 53 strength, rather, with a 56% normal block chance. This will make it so that I ultimately have 100% block chance when enemies are within 4 meters of me, which absolutely increased my survivability a ton. The next items in this build are going to be coming from the weapon, the chest piece, and the helm. The weapon, we're looking for a Dragon Bone Axe. The reason for this is the implicit has a chance to bleed on hit. Now, it's not just melee hit. It's any kind of hit. So throwing attacks are included in this as well. And you will want to try to get the maximum amount of bleed chance you can on this, as well as the maximum amount of damage over time and physical damage. I got extremely lucky when I found this because the bleed chance to bleed on hit was 106, and it had a 2% parry chance in a prefix, and that was the only prefix. So I Glyph of Insighted the parry chance, put on damage over time, and then physical damage, and I was good to go. And this has been the item that I used to kill Aberroth. It's a very high priority item, I would say, just because of the bleed chance. Gives me an extra 184% chance to bleed on hit, which is massive. Second piece will be your chest piece. You'll be looking for a physical penetration with bleed. Obviously, the reason for that is because to increase our bleed damage, the more physical penetration with bleed, you can see that 94% actually adds about 400 damage to my bleed, which is pretty insane. And the last piece, we're going to be going over the helmet. You don't necessarily have to have this specific helmet base, but you do need to have the 2 prefixes. 37% physical penetration with bleed, as well as a 41% chance to bleed if wielding an axe. So basically, we are stacking bleed as much as possible, but we're also stacking physical penetration with the bleed. So you get a grand total of a lot of physical penetration. You know, we're looking here at about like 140-ish just from these 2 items alone, and then it also counts so we're at about 180% physical penetration with bleed with this node here as well. And so it just ends up being a very massive benefit when it comes to actually using your hammers to actively run around and destroy enemies. I only started to notice that the build was on par with 300 corruption when I was in about 300 corruption. Everything beneath 300, it was a very easygoing sort of play style. I didn't have to worry too much about my health because my health regen really covered a lot of that. And then on top of that, you know, I had my belt that had the ward cleansing, 100% chance to cleanse all ailments on potion use, which is very nice. And for the most part, because your Sigils of Hope is automated and your Smite is done via your idols, you don't necessarily have to have them on your bars, right? So I decided to go with Lunge so that I can move around the maps a little bit faster. And I also decided to put on Shield Bash so I could stun enemies while also bleeding them. And because you do so much damage, your cooldown will be reduced by 20% whenever you stun an enemy, and that's going to make it so that your stun time to have on enemies is going to be much higher. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to, like I said, show this build off. This is the build that I was able to kill Aberroth with. The loot I received from it was this bad boy and also this bad boy. These two items here were the two big items that I received from it. Null Portent and Black Blade of Chaos, which is awesome. I'm definitely going to be making a few more builds in the future that are revolving around trying to get to the Pinnacle Boss and trying to kill him. Obviously, it won't be the same sort of definitive sort of uniqueness, but I did want to get this video out there before the week kind of started. So, yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on it. I really enjoy this sort of a thing, trying to figure out builds and crushing the Pinnacle Boss with it. But ultimately, I really enjoyed having this character made, and I'm very excited that I made it a Paladin, because otherwise it wouldn't have been possible. So let me know what you guys think in the bottom. Be sure to subscribe if you think I earned it. Show me those likes, show me those comments. I respond to every single comment that's posted. And I will be live on Twitch during the afternoon, middle morning kind of, Monday through Thursday. So come by my Twitch stream and say hello to me. Ask me questions if you have any about what builds I'm doing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you guys later.